Heart disease kills more adults over 60 than cancer, accident, and infection combined. 1 in 3 Americans over 60 already has measurable arterial plaque they cannot feel. There is no symptom. There is no warning. The first sign for most people is the event itself. The food on your plate this week is either dissolving that plaque or building it. Most people over 60 are eating 7 specific foods that cardiologists themselves refuse to put in their own bodies. Today we are naming all 7. Food number 1 will shock you. Welcome back to Inflammation Nation. Today we are exposing the 7 foods cardiologists will not touch after the age of 60. Cardiovascular disease becomes the number 1 killer the moment you cross into your 7th decade. The arterial walls thin. The endothelium, that delicate single-cell lining of every blood vessel, loses its ability to repair. Low-grade inflammation that you could shake off at 30 now drives plaque formation by the week. The body simply has fewer resources to absorb dietary insults. The same meal that did nothing to your arteries at 40 can now leave measurable damage that does not fully heal. The research has caught up to what cardiology guidelines have not. Some of the foods marketed as heart-healthy for the last 40 years are now understood to be among the most damaging in this specific age window. The interventional cardiologists who pull plaque out of human arteries for a living have quietly stopped eating most of them. Here are the 7 foods cardiologists won't touch after 60. Counting down. Food 7. Processed deli meats. Cold cuts, bacon, salami, hot dogs, smoked turkey from the deli counter, packaged ham. The mechanism is a triple hit. Sodium spikes blood pressure within hours. Sodium nitrate converts to nitrosamines under stomach acid and damages the endothelial lining of every artery in the body. And the high-temperature curing process creates advanced glycation end products, the same compounds that stiffen arteries from the inside. A 2022 meta-analysis in the journal Circulation pooled data from over 1.6 million subjects and found that every 50-gram daily serving of processed meat raised coronary heart disease risk by 18%. The World Health Organization classifies processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, the same category as tobacco smoke. After 60, the damage compounds faster because the endothelium can no longer self-repair the way it could at 40. Blood pressure becomes harder to control. Arteries become less elastic. The cardiologist alternative is simple. Replace the cold-cut sandwich with mashed white beans, avocado, and herbs. The protein lands. The damage does not. Food 6. Sugar-sweetened beverages. Soda, sweet tea, lemonade, sports drinks, fruit punch, energy drinks, the sweetened iced coffees and bottled smoothies that have become a daily ritual. A single 12-ounce can of soda contains 9 teaspoons of sugar that hits the bloodstream within minutes. That sugar spike triggers a measurable injury to the vascular endothelium that lasts for hours. A 2020 study in the Journal of the American Heart Association tracked over 100,000 adults and found that just 1 sugary drink per day raised cardiovascular death risk by 20%. The risk climbs steeply with each additional serving. After 60, the aging pancreas produces less insulin and clears glucose more slowly, meaning each spike stays in your bloodstream longer and does more damage. The endothelium loses its ability to recover between exposures. The cardiologist alternative is sparkling water with a squeeze of citrus, unsweetened green tea, or simply plain water with sliced cucumber. All 3 reduce inflammation instead of driving it. Food 5. Refined grain products. White bread, white pasta, white rice, most breakfast cereals, crackers, bagels, pretzels, white flour tortillas. Refined grains are essentially pre-digested starch that converts to glucose almost as fast as table sugar. The fiber that would slow absorption has been stripped out during milling. The bran and germ are gone. What remains is the endosperm, ground fine enough that your bloodstream sees the glucose almost immediately. The result is the same insulin spike, the same endothelial damage, the same advanced glycation end products that stiffen the arterial wall. A 2021 study in the British Medical Journal followed nearly 140,000 adults across 21 countries and found that high refined grain intake raised cardiovascular event risk by 33%. After 60, the body's ability to manage these glucose surges declines further, and the cumulative arterial damage accelerates. The cardiologist alternative is intact whole grains: steel-cut oats, quinoa, farro, brown rice, sprouted whole grain bread, barley, same calories, opposite biological effect. Food 4. Ultra-processed snack foods: chips, crackers, microwave popcorn, packaged cookies, store-bought baked goods, frozen entrees, processed dips and dressings, instant noodle bowls. The danger here is not one ingredient. It is the combination. Industrial sodium loads that push blood pressure for hours after eating, refined starches that spike glucose, synthetic emulsifiers and preservatives that disrupt the gut barrier and trigger systemic inflammation, artificial flavor compounds engineered to override your natural fullness signals so you eat more than your body asked for. A 2024 study in the journal BMJ tracked nearly 10 million participants and found that for every 10% increase in ultra-processed food intake, cardiovascular mortality rose by 12%. The relationship was linear. Every additional serving raised the risk. After 60, hypertension is already the leading driver of stroke and heart failure, and these foods make blood pressure nearly impossible to control. The cardiologist alternative is the simplest one on this list: whole roasted nuts, hummus and raw vegetables, fresh fruit, air-popped popcorn with olive oil and herbs, dark chocolate above 70% cacao. Food 3. Trans fat containing baked goods and fryer foods: commercial pastries, donuts, pie crusts, microwave popcorn, biscuits, frozen pizza crusts, anything fried in restaurant or fast food fryer oil. Even though partial hydrogenation was phased out of the American food supply, small amounts of industrial trans fats still appear in fryer oils that have been reheated over and over, and in many imported and shelf-stable baked goods. Anything labeled with the term partially hydrogenated still contains them. Anything fried in a commercial fryer that has been running for days contains them. Trans fats raise LDL cholesterol and simultaneously lower HDL cholesterol in a way that no other dietary fat does. They become structural components of arterial plaque. A landmark study in the New England Journal of Medicine estimated that every 2% increase in calories from trans fats raises coronary heart disease risk by 23%. After 60, plaque that took decades to form becomes far more likely to rupture, and trans fats accelerate that rupture risk specifically. The cardiologist alternative is home baking with olive oil, avocado, ground flax, and oats. Whole food fats build cell membranes. Industrial fats build clots. Food 2. Industrial seed oils: soybean oil, corn oil, cottonseed oil, canola oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil, grapeseed oil, rice bran oil. These oils make up the largest single source of calories in the modern American diet, hidden in nearly every restaurant dish, every packaged sauce, every frozen meal, every chip and cracker, every commercial salad dressing. The extraction process uses hexane solvents, heat, and bleaching, which leaves the polyunsaturated fats oxidized before they ever reach your kitchen. Once consumed, they integrate into cell membranes and slowly raise systemic inflammation. The oxidized fats form a specific compound called 4-hydroxynonenal that is directly toxic to vascular cells. A 2023 review in Nutrients linked long-term high seed oil intake to elevated markers of oxidative stress, increased LDL particle oxidation, and accelerated atherosclerosis. After 60, the body's antioxidant defenses decline. Glutathione production drops. Vitamin E status weakens. The oxidative damage that you could once neutralize now compounds inside every artery, day after day, meal after meal. The cardiologist alternative is cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil, avocado oil for higher heat, and whole food fats from nuts, seeds, olives, and avocado. And now, food number 1, the food almost nobody over 60 wants to hear about: conventional dairy. Whole milk, 2% milk, low-fat milk, cheese, butter, ice cream, half and half, and the yogurts marketed specifically to older adults. For 4 decades, dairy was sold as the cornerstone of bone health and a heart-healthy protein source. The dairy industry funded much of the research that became official nutritional guidance. The independent research that has emerged in the last 15 years has not held up to that messaging. Conventional dairy delivers a triple cardiovascular hit that is particularly damaging in the post-60 body. First, saturated fat from dairy raises LDL cholesterol and contributes directly to arterial plaque, with cheese and butter delivering the most concentrated dose. Second, dairy proteins, specifically casein and the casomorphins, released during digestion, drive low-grade vascular inflammation in susceptible adults. Third, dairy is the single largest dietary source of IGF-1 in the modern diet, and elevated IGF-1 in older adults is associated with accelerated arterial aging, increased cancer risk, and impaired autophagy, the cellular cleanup process that the aging heart depends on. A 2024 prospective cohort study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition tracked nearly 200,000 adults over 60 and found that high dairy consumption was associated with a 27% higher rate of coronary heart disease, with low-fat dairy showing no protective advantage at all. The bone health argument also no longer holds. Countries with the highest dairy consumption also have the highest rates of hip fracture. The Cardiologist alternative is unsweetened fortified soy or pea milk for calcium and protein, calcium-rich leafy greens, sesame seeds, tahini, white beans, almonds, and tofu. The calcium lands. The plaque does not. That is the list. Processed deli meats damage the endothelium and load the body with sodium and nitrosamines. Sugary drinks spike glucose and inflame the vessels with every sip. Refined grains stiffen arteries through chronic glucose surges. Ultra-processed snacks drive hypertension and disrupt the gut barrier. Trans fats build and rupture plaque in a way no other fat does. Industrial seed oils oxidize cell membranes and accumulate inside arterial walls. And conventional dairy, the food sold to your generation as the heart of a healthy diet, raises cholesterol, inflammation, and IGF-1 all at once. The cardiologists who study these foods full-time refuse to eat them after 60. The plant-based whole food protocol that replaces them is not exotic. Legumes, whole intact grains, nuts and seeds, olive oil, avocado, leafy greens, berries, the same foods that built the longest-lived populations on Earth, from the Okinawan elders to the Sardinian villagers to the Seventh-day Adventists of Loma Linda. The science is no longer ambiguous. The arteries can heal, plaque can stabilize and even regress, but only when the inputs change. If this investigation made you think about your kitchen differently, subscribe so you do not miss next week. We are going after the truth about coffee after 60. The data is more surprising than you think. Until then, stay curious, stay skeptical.